You know the feeling, right? You've been banging your head against a wall all day, stuck on some problem, and then boom, the perfect solution just pops into your head the second you step into the shower. It feels kind of like magic, but what's really going on is this fascinating process inside your brain. So let's dive in and really unpack the science behind this whole shower effect.
And if you've experienced this, you are so not alone. I mean, this isn't just some modern quirk. History is actually full of these moments. The ancient Greek scholar Archimedes, he famously had his Eureka moment while he was taking a bath. This experience is so common, it's become a running joke, but it points to this really powerful truth about how our brains are wired to work.
And hey, it's not just a feeling we all have, there's data to back it up. A study from Charles Sturt University surveyed over 1,100 people and found that a staggering 80%, reported having these sudden insights, these aha moments, specifically when they were relaxed and their minds were just wandering. So what on earth is going on here?
Well, that is the big question we're going to answer. It turns out it's this perfect storm of psychology and neuroscience. The shower creates this ideal little incubator for a very specific type of thinking that, honestly, our busy, focused daily lives just don't allow for. Okay, so to really get the shower effect, we first have to understand that our brain basically has two totally different ways of thinking. You can think of them like two different gears in a car, and each one has a very specific job. I love this slide. It uses this brilliant pinball metaphor to explain the difference. So over on the left, you've got focused mode. See how those bumpers are packed super tightly together? Your thoughts just bounce around in a really concentrated, familiar pattern. This is great for, say, solving a math problem, but it's also how we get stuck in a rut. Now look at diffuse mode on the right. The bumpers are spread way out, letting your thoughts just roam all over the place and make these new, unexpected connections. That is where creativity lives.
And the real key to unlocking all this creativity is that switch. That's the secret. It happens the moment we stop trying so hard to solve the problem, do something relaxing, and just let our mind go. You're basically giving your brain permission to shift gears from that tight, analytical state into that broad, free-associating, diffuse mode.
So let's go a layer deeper into the neuroscience of all this. What part of the brain is actually running the show during this powerful, creative, diffuse state? Well, it's time to meet the default mode network. The default mode network, or DMN for short, is what neuroscientists call this whole set of brain regions that just light up when you're not doing anything in particular. It's your brain's idle state. So when you're daydreaming or thinking about a memory or just letting your mind wander, that's your DMN taking over. And as you can see here, your brain is never really off. When you think you're doing nothing, the DMN is incredibly busy. It's connecting memories from your past, it's imagining different future possibilities, and it's basically playing matchmaker between ideas that your focused brain would never ever put together. This is the engine of creative incubation. But here's a really critical piece of the puzzle, and it's what separates just random daydreaming from a true stroke of genius. Breakthroughs aren't just about letting your mind go wild. The research shows that really creative people have stronger cooperation between their freewheeling default mode network and their brain's executive network. It's like a dance. One side generates all the wild ideas, and the other side has the focus to recognize which of those ideas is actually brilliant. Okay, so we've got these two modes of thinking. We've got this amazing DMN. Now, let's bring it all back to the shower. Why is that specific environment the perfect place to mix up this creative cocktail? Yeah, the shower is what some researchers call an epiphany incubator. I love that term. It's because it provides the absolute perfect recipe of ingredients to get our DMN firing on all cylinders and our creative connections sparking. Let's break that recipe down. Here they are. There are 4 key ingredients in this recipe: relaxation and dopamine, a low mental load, a brainwave shift, and something called moderate engagement. So let's start with the first one. The warm water is super relaxing, which we know helps us shift into that diffuse mode. But it also triggers the release of dopamine. And that little dopamine hit makes you feel good, and it makes your brain more open to novel ideas. Next up, just think about the environment itself. There are no screens, no notifications, no decisions to be made. The steady white noise of the water and the steam kind of blurring your vision, it all creates this state of mild sensory deprivation. And this dramatically lowers your brain's cognitive load, which frees up all this mental bandwidth for your inner world to finally come to the surface.
This relaxed state literally changes your brain's electrical frequency. Think of it like tuning an old radio. You start producing more alpha waves, which act like noise-canceling headphones for the outside world. And that allows these faint ideas from distant parts of your brain to finally be heard. You also dip into the theta wave state. This is that magical zone you're in right before you fall asleep, where your imagination is just completely uninhibited. Now for the final, and maybe the most surprising ingredient of them all. A cognitive scientist named Zachary Irving discovered something really cool. The task you're doing can't be too boring. If it's completely mindless, our thoughts can just become unconstrained and kind of useless. The real key is moderate engagement.
And this table here shows what's called the Goldilocks zone. If a task is too demanding, you're stuck in focus mode. If a task is totally boring or mindless, you can end up in unproductive daydreaming loops. But a moderately engaging task, like taking a shower, provides just enough external constraint to make our mind-wandering productive. It keeps our thoughts from getting stuck in a rut while still letting them roam free. It's just right. So, here's the best part of all this. You don't have to wait around for your next shower. You can actually engineer these moments of insight on demand. See, it was never really about the water. It's all about recreating that perfect mental state. A low cognitive load, a relaxed mood, and just enough moderate engagement. That's the formula. And you can use it anytime, anywhere.
And here are some perfect examples of other epiphany incubators. Really, any activity that's routine enough for you to do on autopilot but still requires just a tiny bit of attention can work. Taking a walk, washing the dishes, doodling, gardening, even driving a route you know by heart. These are all perfect for sparking ideas. You know, the biggest challenge today is that our world of constant notifications and endless feeds, it creates what some researchers call a spontaneity deficit. We almost never give our brains the unstructured, unplugged time they desperately need to make these deep connections. Building in time for your mind to just wander isn't lazy. It's an absolutely essential part of the creative process.
So, the next time you're stuck, just remember this. You've already done the hard part, the focused thinking. You've gathered all the pieces of the puzzle. The final crucial step is to step back and let your brain do its magic. So I'll leave you with this. How will you create your next epiphany incubator?